But let's begin right now with new details about one of this country's youngest victims of COVID-19, a teenager who came to Canada from Syria as a refugee. Hilary Johnstone is on our top story today, tracking the very latest. So Hilary, what more do we know about this young man?
Hi there, Michael. Well, we know that his name was Yassin Dabeh, and as you say, he came to Canada from Syria as a refugee with his family in 2016. We know that he was working as a cleaner at a long-term care home in Delaware, Ontario, which is just southwest of London, Ontario, in southwestern Ontario. And some of these new details that we have, they are coming from someone who has spoken with this young man's father, with the teenager's father, who had actually reached out to him, offering to pay for a funeral or to help with the funeral, and had this conversation with Dabeh's father. And what we know now is that Yassin, he was 19 years old, that there are 4 other siblings. So there were 5 children in this family. There were 4 boys, 1 girl, and that sadly the entire family has now tested positive for COVID-19. And we've also been told that the father was really touched by this offer to help with funeral expenses, but that the funeral has already been covered by other people in the community. Apparently, the father was quite emotional when he was telling the story that people in the community in London have already come together to pay for his son's funeral. So we have also been hearing from the local public health unit in London, Ontario. They have never identified this teen, or identified the home where he worked, but they have spoken about how tragic this is. And of course, all of these deaths during the pandemic have been tragic, but it is difficult once you start to learn the faces and the names behind some of these numbers. So take a listen now to Dr. Alex Summers.
It's a tragic day, and as a community, we feel it so closely. As a medical officer, as an associate medical officer, we feel it closely as well. And it really is a reminder for us at how significant this pandemic is. Tomorrow marks, for us in Middlesex-London, the 1-year mark since the first reported case of COVID-19 in our region. And it's been a very challenging year, and a story like the story today is a tragic reminder of that.
And Michael, there's also been reaction to this teen's death on social media, including from NDP leader Jagmeet Singh. And he said in a tweet earlier today, his name was Yassin Dabeh, and his death is a tragedy. Essential workers are at a risk every day. Paid sick days, faster vaccine rollout, and access to PPE are needed urgently to save lives. My deep sympathy to family and friends. I grieve with you.
Now, the young man, as we say, he did work at a long-term care home. What have we learned about this facility?
So, Michael, we know that there was an outbreak declared there at Middlesex Terrace, that's the name of the home, on December 23rd, and that it is still listed as an active outbreak. We are waiting for updated information from the local health unit on how many residents and staff have been affected by this outbreak. But something else that's important to note. So yesterday, the information from the public health unit was that this teen, that he was not working inside the home during the infectious period. They have now updated that information to say that the person who has died, so this teenager, as we now know, this teenager, that he was briefly working inside that home for a short period of time during the infectious period before he went into isolation. Now, they still don't know where he contracted COVID, whether he got it in the community or whether he got it while working in the home. So those are still some details that have yet to come out. We also don't know if he had any underlying health conditions. So that is something else that CBC has been asking questions about. Michael?
Okay. Hilary, thank you. We will speak again. Our Hilary Johnstone.